Okay everybody, welcome to Mid-Ohio for 2024 MotoAmerica. First time that we've been back at Mid-Ohio since 2014, I think. First time in the MotoAmerica era that the nation's best have come racing here at this fantastic old school circuit. You can tell this one wasn't built on a computer. This is probably drawn out on a napkin and then slammed down on a piece of farmland. But we're going to go for a bit of a walk through the pits. I'm going to show you a couple of the different bikes that we have here at MotoAmerica. There's such a huge array of racing motorcycles. Everything, we're going to show you baggers, we're going to show you Junior Cup bikes, all the way up to the big dogs and the super bikes. So come along for a walk, let's go. First up, we're going to have a look. Here is Max Flinders Indian Challenger. King of the baggers, Max Flinders, fan favorite.
Customers get 10% off their first purchase.
Engineering behind these things is pretty spectacular, honestly. Like, you shouldn't be able to ride these things as fast as what they can go. You have a look at that swing arm, SNS motor. Beautiful looking thing. Stay out of the boys' way. The yellow bagger of Max Flinders is a well-known part of the King of the Baggers Championship. Beautiful looking machine. Okay, here we go to the Barcon Racing team. Now this is Matthew Chapman's Ninja 400. He was fastest in the first session yesterday. Very nicely presented looking bike. This is going to, sorry boys, just taking some shots of your bike. This is going to be the last year for the Ninja 400 in the Junior Cup, because next year it's going to be a Kramer Cup. Okay, now this is Elo block spikes, so all all identical, obviously, same bike all the way around. Yeah, next year's Junior Cup Championship is going to look very different indeed. So the last few years are going to get, there we go. Okay, this is one of the new bikes in the Twins Cup this year. This is the Suzuki S8R, ridden by Rocco Landers, run under the Vance & Hines race team, the legendary Vance & Hines racing team. Looks quite different to the production bike. You know, the production bike, I would almost describe it as a bit of a, yeah, it's a sports bike, but it's closer to touring than something like an Aprilia RS660. The Vance & Hines team, along with the M4 X-Star Suzuki team, are the two guys that are running the Suzuki this year. And Landers is like he does every time. He's always got the hang of it. I mean, two-time class champion here, Rocco Landers. So yeah, nice looking bike actually. It has a very different aesthetic to the regular sort of bikes out there. It's very skinny. This one quite tall. And if you have a look at the tank here, and the tank's got a very different shape. It's quite a flat profile on that tank. Triple clamps, everything there. The Attack Performance triple clamps, different brakes, Vance & Hines exhaust. You can't go too wild on them, although they are, they do have a huge amount of performance for the price. Right, here we have one of the big dogs. This is the Champs bike. This is Hayden Gillam's factory Harley-Davidson road ride. Well, not factory, it's the Vance & Hines bike. Probably as factory as you're going to get without it being actually factory like Kyle Wyman and James Rispoli's bike is. Have a look at the engineering on this. This is a bagger racing bike. This is what it's all about. These things have gone from being, almost a bit of a joke really in the paddock to almost the main show. It's drawn so many people back into racing, the King of the Baggers series. Incredibly expensive bikes to run and build. They're beautiful bikes. I'm going to have a bit of a look at some of the other ones as well, but yeah, this is the King's bike right now. This is the current King of the Bagger. Here we've got the Royal Enfield Build Train race bikes. Now the entire field is under this awning for Royal Enfield. Michaela Moore's, sorry guys, just still getting used to this gimbal here. Michaela Moore's bike up the back there. She is the current queen of the Royal Enfield series. Has won basically everything. I think she actually has won everything. I could be wrong, but she seems to win every race by about 4 laps or something like that. But great initiative from Royal Enfield here. All the techs and everything are provided. The girls get to put their own touches on the bikes in terms of colours and that kind of stuff, and sponsors, I think. And yeah, really cool initiative to get women racing here in MotoAmerica. Has been hugely successful. And over here we have the Southern Power Sports Honda of Hayden Gillum. Now this Hayden is the current Stock 1000 champion, along with being the current King of the Baggers. Honda CBR 1000 RR -RSP, it's a total mouthful. But Honda's really come to the party this year in MotoAmerica with huge contingencies. So we've managed to get, actually he's probably out there on his stocker at the moment because they've got actually superbikes out there at the moment running around. Yeah, Honda's really come to the party with huge contingencies this year, so it's good to see finally that there are a few more CBRs on the grid, because it is a really good bike, but unfortunately it hasn't had the representation in MotoAmerica like they would have liked, so they've come to the party and made it a bit financially sweeter for the boys in red to get out there and have a go. Moving on to the Mission Super Hooligan Championship. This is Hawk Mazzota's Indian FTR 1200, developed by Roland Sands Design. These bikes have been raced now for probably about 3 or 4 years, I'd say, and have slowly gotten faster over the years. They've now got a proper superbike front end on the thing, whereas before they were running, I think, stock forks with internals, which has made a huge difference to the performance of these bikes and the lap times that they're capable of producing. Not slow on the speed trap either. I think they were knocking on 145 or so mile an hour. Not bad for a bike of this kind of caliber against some of the established bikes as well in the class. Okay, here is the XEL Rayall Jaati team. This is the brand new team for Supersport here in MotoAmerica. Having a bit of a look at, pretty lucky to have a look at this. This is Corey Alexander's completely stripped Panigale V2. He's had a few issues here. We're going to try and stay out of the way of the boys as they're trying to figure out some kind of electrical issue. It's been a bit of a time for him. You can see the man right there just walking around with a coffee. He's probably feeling a little lost at the moment. It's a beautiful looking bike. It's not often that we get to see everything completely stripped down like this. This is the new breed of Supersport racer right here, and new breed is new technology, so the guys are currently chasing their tail a bit, trying to find this electrical gremlin, but they'll get here. And here is the second bike of Corey's. Corey has different paintwork to his teammates PJ Jacobson and Kayla Yakov. Those guys are running the yellow XEL Jaati bodywork. Corey's got the orange and black one. This weekend he's actually running leopard print bodywork. It's pretty wild style from the man. But yeah, this is the new style of Supersport bike as things like the Yamaha R6 slowly gets replaced. Nice looking things. And here's Rocco Landers about to go out on his Vance & Hines Harley-Davidson. Yeah, buddy, get in there. Here is a one-off team KTM, and here's the man himself, Mr. Fillmore, Mr. Chris Fillmore, my good buddy. What's up, bud?
Rennie.
You got a pretty cool program here. I'm going to have to give you the mic, actually, because it's... tell us a bit about what's going on.
We're at the racetrack.
Yeah.
We're at Mid-Ohio, MotoAmerica, racing Roland Sands Super Hooligans, and yeah, I got a special project from KTM. Come on over. So what you're looking at here, I may not disclose. Really unique opportunity to happen through really a conversation with the R&D team at KTM and their marketing team. They told me a bike that they were working on, and when they showed me the first images and we talked about what it actually was, I kind of presented to them, well, we should go racing with it. And then, everybody's ears kind of perked up, and that started almost half a year ago, and now we're finally here. So we got the blessings, and we've been chipping away, and really in true KTM fashion, trying to develop through racing. So we're here. We're at Mid-Ohio. Qualifying's over. A couple hours. I'm going out for race one. I qualified 5th, 0.3 of a second off pole, and I think I'm in the hunt, for rolling it out for a guy that's coming out of the office chair, and competing against a group that's been competing in the championship the whole year. I feel very comfortable. The biggest thing for me is what I can say is it's very easy to ride, very natural. The bike is something that I wouldn't say it's beyond a work in progress, but now it's fine-tuning it. I don't have enough time really at race pace, being at MotoAmerica weekend with the short amount of time you get on track, lots of pressure. You need to go fast, but also work through development. So we've worked through some things, and we've gotten better every session. Felt good this morning, even on a cold track. My times on hard tires were pretty good. So I feel confident for the race, but you never know. We're here to learn, and we're here to move things forward, and you will all have the opportunity to figure out exactly what I'm riding in a couple months here.
Okay, now we're going to see the Vision Wheel M4 X-Star Suzuki, and there's my old buddy Chris Ulrich. Hey, bud. All right, I'm going to hand it over, and you can tell us what's up with your bikes.
All right, so this is a 2024 model Suzuki GSR 1000R. It's obviously Suzuki's latest offering, based on the 2017 model, and then it was updated in 2019 with a new frame. So at the front we have TK 330 millimeter rotors, combined with Brembo brake calipers and SBS brake pads. So cooling the bike is a Talio, larger capacity Talio radiator with oil cooler. So these things put out over 200 horsepower, obviously, and heat transfer is really important for performance. For this bike, too, this is Richie Escalante's bike, and we've added a thumb brake. This is actually a carryover from Xavi Flores, who was filling in for Richie. Xavi was a really big proponent of having that thumb brake on the for the rear brake. As we move into the middle, we've made several changes to the engine since we've received them or took over the program in 2020, and the horsepower from when we received them to now is up about roughly 10. So that's a pretty big gain. Some of it has to do with the cam configuration we're using, some of it has to do with the velocity stack configuration we're using, but it was all focused on changing how the bike builds power, because we're taking so much power out of the mid-range and early stages of the bike that it's, having all that mid-range there was kind of counterintuitive. So performance improved. We saw that with Richie getting on the podium last year at COTA. We have, moving to the back here, we have a work swing arm. This is the same swing arm that's used by CERT Racing, so the YJP factory endurance team. That was a big improvement to the guys. It helped just make the bike a little more rideable. We did go back to the swing arm that we were building, and at the ridge, and Xavi did put the thing on the podium there. It just a little longer wheelbase allowed him to improve the lap time and be quite competitive. Another big performance gain is actually this exhaust pipe manufactured by M4 Products in Dallas, Texas. We've done a lot of work with diameters and configurations, and that was a big improvement about mid-year in 2023. So just working on every little thing. You can't just sit back. In the superbike class, you got some pretty gnarly modern motorcycles, updated motorcycles that are doing some good stuff. So and they're not sitting back. So you got to be always constantly working on the motorcycle. The fuel tank is a factory tank with that is actually 22 liters. The endurance tank is 24 liters, but this is focused on mass centralization. The tank starts right here and stops right about here and within the seat. We have 2 subframes. One's carbon fiber, one's aluminum. The weight is pretty close, but this one's a little more crash durable for the guys. And so under tray we have a RSP 40 shock, and then something that's unique about this motorcycle at the factory level is the mounting of the linkage. So the linkage mounts to the frame, and there's a pull rod system that goes back to the swing arm. And we make our ride height changes with the pull rod. That linkage is something that we designed and made to suit the American tracks and the Dunlop tires. So overall, dash is part of the Magneti Marelli MLE system that comes with it, so we use the same electronics that the World Endurance team runs. And then the triple clamps too are at triple clamp, at fully adjustable triple clamp. We had some hard mount ones, but I mean that was a Tony Elias thing, and we went away from the hard mount ones. Just our riders, current guys couldn't tell any difference between the performance, and the factory bike, the cert bike, went back to having this style triple clamp, and so it made better sense, easier for adjustments. And I don't truly the small amount of flex you may or may not get from that. There's a handful of riders that might be able to tell you about that. So, yeah.
Okay, so we don't have the 750, so we're going to go check out the 8R. This is the new one for this year. We had a look at Rocco Lander's bike earlier on. This is Rossi Moore's bike.
Video real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
So this is the Suzuki's brand new 2024 GSX S8R, and the Twins Cup bike is a bit different than what you'd see on the showroom floor. We're allowed a lot of modifications. We'll get our little promotional duct tape off this thing. But I mean, obviously the first thing you'll see is that we got a new subframe on it, different exhaust pipe, foot pegs are raised up, so we have some more ground clearance compared to the standard model. That's just some modifications made for racing. And then you move over to the front, we've replaced the front triple clamp because the standard bike comes with high bars, so you have to at least replace the front triple clamp top. But we've gone with the fully adjustable, and we've moved the offset back quite a bit from standard. That's just a racing modification that we did. We've gone from just because Twins allows this, and to keep continuity between our platforms, between the 750 and the 8R, and this, we've gone with a Suzuki GSR 600 fork. They've been quite extended to match what the SFBFF standard fork is, but and we've replaced the brake calipers, and that's just more something that we did for continuity between the programs. We have Core Moto wheels on it, aftermarket wheels. They're quite light, and BrakeTech 310 millimeter rotors with Brembo calipers. And we went that direction on the caliper. Just we can use the same brake pad between all the 750s and the 8R. If you look at the front, though, it's a bit unique. So as we've increased horsepower, we have to increase cooling. And so you check out down here, we have a larger capacity radiator, and we have a larger capacity, we have a very large oil cooler. So the combination of those two reduced the overall cooling by quite a bit. I think it was 15 degrees C. So that's, if you can imagine that, that's quite a bit. In terms of the modifications to the engine, right? For racing, we're allowed a camshaft that only Team Hammer and Vance & Hines can distribute. So it's a spec camshaft for the 8R. The lift and duration is a little bit different, but it's capped at that. That was an agreement. You know, we worked with MotoAmerica on that and the dyno testing. And in terms of electronics on this bike, we're using the Mectronic system with the Solo Open ECU and the Solo Open software, and that's combined with the ADU ECU Master ADU 5-dash. And it's just something that it was ease of sharing the platforms. The 750 uses the MKE7 Mectronic, and so we like the software. We wanted to move that on, and this gives us a good option. And plus, they're running it in the sport bike class in the British Superbike series. So we're actually the first guys to put the bike thing on the track and put it on a motorcycle. Now, this particular bike also has, I mean, we've done all sorts of interesting things inside the engine, but this particular bike also has a set of development pistons that are going to be homologated pretty soon for MotoAmerica in terms of a performance increase. The increase wasn't a lot, but it's just a little, which is what we're in the first season with the twin. Being a little bit larger displacement than the limit in the class, we had to kind of be more conservative with the engine development in MotoAmerica in terms of allowing the rules and all that stuff. So we move on back to the back, and we have an Olin shock here, and we have our own linkage again. It just changes the motion ratio a little bit better for going racing. And then we have a M4 exhaust with a 50/50, what I call it, so a stainless header, and then the titanium mid pipe or titanium collector mid pipe, and then their new style muffler for here. This one in particular, we've done some interesting things with the outlet to help with the exhaust flow or the backflow, and that was actually something that was pretty interesting, the way it affected the bike, because once we changed that, it started responding to different length velocity stacks. So that was kind of a interesting change. We're not allowed any modification to the airbox except for the air filter. That's it. So the airbox is quite restrictive. Because the airbox is restrictive, our shock options are pretty limited. There's only a couple different shocks that are available for that, and it's just that's going to be slow going until we get a few more of these on the grid and we get an actual shock that we can use. So overall, it's a pretty fun bike, man. Twins, this type of twin's pretty fun. They you hear all sorts of crazy horsepower numbers. Some make 100, some make this, some make that. They all make about mid-90s, and things pretty competitive.
Okay, moving a little bit further down here. Here is the Wrench Motorcycles team of David Anthony and Bobby Fong, team owner David Anthony with his GSXR 750. Sorry guys about the try and get a decent shot in here. The poor boys over there. We've got to fix Bobby's bike after Mr. Fong sent the thing over the fence in final qualifying today. You know, when he's on, he's on. Sometimes when he's off, he's off. But thankfully, he's all right. No injuries or anything there. But yeah, gave the boys a fair bit of work, so we're not going to get in their face too much on this one. Over here to the Attack Performance boys, reigning champions, of course. Jake Gagne also had a bit of a. Okay. Jake Gagne also had a bit of an off in that last session, so his bike is currently under some fairly major repairs, and here's Campee's bike. More maintenance on Campee's bike than anything. Go for a bit of a wander out, see what else we can find. Okay, so now into the Top Pro Racing team, and my old crew chief, Mr. Jeremy Toy. Back in the day, he gave me a hand. Poor bastard, probably took 10 years off his life doing so. But he's now looking after Sean Dillon Kelly. Going to hand the mic over to him, and he can tell you all about his M1000 RR.
Yep, so this is our current M1000 Alpha bike that we've been campaigning this whole year. Things quite fun to work on. Obviously, big heart of horsepower down in here. Little hush-hush in there, but those come direct from BMW and produce plenty of go juice in there. Other cool little bits, obviously, you know, Superbike Olin's front end. Nice little ducting that Alpha does. For Sean, we've modified a Brembo thumb brake that he's been able to use for the last couple rounds, and we've definitely seen a benefit from that. Here's a really unusual modification that you might not think makes that big a difference. This is Alpha's top rack seat.
Top rack from World Superbike?
Yes.
Okay.
And sounds like no big deal, right?
Yeah.
It is a lower profile seat that's wider. Sounds like counterproductive if you're hanging off. Sean feels that it gives him twice the support in the pocket and he's not moving around as much. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And we've only got one of these things. We're hoping not to screw it up. So it's the weird little things that once you get up to this level, the comfort is just as important as the technical part. In the back, you know, nice Olin shock. We've updated this weekend. I came up with a new link design that we're trying, and we've seen a little bit of benefit from that. Really, other than that, you know, there's enough dials and switches on this bike to either dial it really in or get it really far out. Little neutral lockout that most bikes don't have. If you're out on track, you can select all the way down to first gear, all the way down, never find a neutral. In order to find neutral, as you pull in the clutch, you open a gate and it's all the way down like an old three-wheeler.
What tank have you got on it?
Alpha tank, this is their newest design. A little bit shallower in the back. The earlier ones seem to protrude a little bit more, but it's their current one.
So the engine's for Alpha Tank?
It is BMW built, verified by Alpha, and then sealed with whatever hoochie coochie sauce that they put in there. So that's another thing when you get into superbike, but the BMW specifically. This frame is so adjustable, and not only is this frame braced behind here, there's a lot of extra bracing that Alpha does, but places like your swing arm pivot. As you can see, that's an eccentric adjustment with 13 positions. I have 5 of these to choose from. So do the math, it's too many damn positions, is that what that equals to? Stuff like that in the frame. Also in the steering geometry, we have a ton of cups that allow us to change the rake, trail, degrees, and actually offset with longer or shorter wheelbase just in the cups on top of clamps.
More stuff to get lost in.
More stuff. Like I said, the switches and dials on this bike are plentiful.
Okay, a little bit further down pit lane now, we got one of the special ones. This is the factory Harley-Davidson team. Okay, we're going to send it over to Kyle Wyman's, chief mechanic. Hang on, get this thing to turn around. 1, 2, 3. There we go, got it finally. I'm still trying to figure out how this thing works, mate. Hand it over to you.
Technology.
I know. Hand it over to you, mate. So tell us a little bit about this thing. I mean, this is obviously the big daddy as far as, you know, baggers go. So
Yeah, she's the real deal. She's Carl's factory Harley-Davidson. Obviously, a huge departure from her old kind of normal stomping ground on the street. She is a full-on race bike.
let's have a look at some bits on it.
Yeah, she's obviously per regulations, casings and things like that stay standard, and the frame is absolutely as you find on the road bike. And then kind of from there, we go superbike. Whole front end, Olins. You'll see full Brembo superbike calipers. She's a true out-and-out race bike in the guise of a road glide. She's a work of art, to be truthful, and everything outside of things like the Brembo and the Olins that she's covered in is all done in-house at Harley-Davidson. It's a huge undertaking for the factory, but something that they've really got behind and they love doing. And she's fast. You know, I mean, she was quick enough to be front row at Supersport over this weekend. So you see, which is insane, given she's 625 pounds. Primary casings, everything done, all the CNC work, the swing arm. This is all done in-house at Harley-Davidson.
Fantastic.
She is a work of art. She runs March is in his superbike wheels. Yeah. Yeah, there's a huge amount of work and time in CNC work and design work that goes into her. We see the clamps. We run Renthal bars, Renthal grips, domino throttle. Really, once you get to the front end of it, you're seeing what you see on a superbike as far as, you know, thumb brake. Then around this side. Special intake for her. Levenchi exhaust system. These guys have done a huge amount of work with us back in Italy. Because again, unlike with a superbike where you kind of used to have to make them with this thing, it was all a new challenge. Because you're not only looking at power, you're looking at clearance and all the different things.
How much of that has been an issue for you?
Clearance, a lot. The bike is originally designed to be so much lower. Ground clearance was never really part of the thought process, and of course as soon as you go racing, it is. But then the more you work on ground clearance and the whole thing going up, it affects the handling, so you want to try and bring it back down again, so everything has to move up with it. It's been a huge part of the design work, huge part of it. But yeah, as you can see, we're now kind of 3 years into the program, truly, and there's a huge amount of development in this bike.
How's the rear brake on that?
There you go. Full Brembo superbike rear. We have a link system on it, so he can run the pedal and he can run the thumb as well at the same time. So yeah, she's quite the work of art. And never forget the bags. Never forget the bags. These are lightweight carbon fibre.
You have to take a six-pack in there, don't you?
Yeah. I think originally we 3D printed one as a measurement. So yeah, and we actually handed that to tech, believe it or not. But yeah, she's quite the work of art.
Okay, here is the MV Augusta MP13 Equity racing team run by Melissa Paris, and we've got Melissa right here.
How's it going?
Yeah, there we go.
So,
tell us a bit about this thing.
Yeah, so our program came together a little bit late, but we got these bikes, I think, in February. They're gorgeous, and it's been a big learning experience for us. We've had a lot of support, luckily, from MV Augusta, as well from the MV Augusta Repardo course team in Europe. They've given us a lot of help, pointing us in the right direction because this is all new to us. So I'm trying to think some of the cool things about this bike. There's a lot. So like all the other next gen teams, we're using the Medtronic team. We've got 2D for our data acquisition. So we've had to learn a lot about that because these are, well, the Medtronic's not new to us. We used it on our bikes last year, but the 2D's a little bit new for us. So that's been a bit of a learning curve, but it's been really cool. Like between the ECU and the data system, there's so much more capability. So that's been great for us, like seeing what we can do with it. It's been great that a lot of our partners that we've used in other classes have come along with us. So we've still got Maxima and Capit and a lot of these people coming along to keep supporting our team. But then along the way, we've gotten some new ones too, because it's a new Italian bike that is new. So we switched to Spider for a lot of our controls. We've been really happy with that.
So this is a World Supersport engine?
No, so we actually we don't have the same spec of engine as World Supersport. They have a different crankshaft that's homologated, that's not... World Supersport's got a different crankshaft that's not homologated for us. So we have an allowed engine kit that's mainly valve train components and a kit transmission, but other than that, it's actually pretty close to stock, which is pretty cool because this is pretty close to what a consumer's going to get if they buy a motorcycle. This year we've got Aiden Sneed, who's moved up from Junior Cup, which is a pretty big jump getting into Supersport, but he's really impressed all of us and making us really happy. Each weekend he's growing, he's figuring it out, and I think we're going to see some really good things from him in the next season or two.
All right, so that was a bit of a quick look at some of the amazing bikes we got here at MotoAmerica. Stay tuned, we'll have more good stuff coming for you from Cycle News soon. Peace out, cheers.